Hey, everyone, and welcome to episode number 92 of the Chris Rose Rotation, a production of John Boy Media, and today presented by our friends over at SeatGeek. I know we're still in the midst of a lockout. There hasn't been player movement for months, but do you remember way back in November when there was actually a trade that happened between the Cincinnati Reds and the Detroit Tigers? I know that today's guest, Tucker Barnhart, does. Remember that way back then?
It seems like forever ago, but yeah, I definitely remember that for sure.
Okay, I don't know who's wearing the cooler hat. I'm wearing the Old English D, but it's like an old spring training orange flavor to it just to make you feel comfortable. What do you have on your head?
It's the old Blackbeard flag. It's a Black Rifle Coffee Company hat. And major fan of those guys. So it's a beauty. I like it a lot.
Okay. So you got to fill us in. Where are you right now?
I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm at home. I've toyed with the idea of going down to Florida, but I have so many people here that I see on a daily basis from a baseball side, whether it's working out or hitting or throwing and that stuff, that I kind of have to stay here and figure out when the time comes or whenever it makes the most sense to head south. So hoping that we get something figured out here in the relative short term, and that way we can get rolling and get everything off when we're supposed to.
How much are you paying attention every day to what's going on?
Well, I was a rep for the Reds for the last 6 years. So when I got traded, I don't actually know how that works. If I'm not technically the rep for the Tigers, I don't think, but I'm still on all the phone calls and everything. I actually right before we kicked this off, I was on a union call, just kind of getting filled in on where everything is and where everything stands. So to answer your question, I'm dialed in every day.
I respect the privacy of matters like that, but you need to give our fan base a little taste of what is happening, whether it's the frustration. Do you feel like there's been any movement made? Are we getting closer?
I think so. There's so many things out there in regards to the major sticking points, the CBT, the salary arb and things like that. But there are so many little things that we've already finished, that we've gotten fixed, that we've gotten ironed out, that have been ironed out for a long time. They just aren't talked about. And they're very little things. Right. But there are things that are going to have to get figured out or needed to get figured out in order to get a deal. There has been very, very slow progress, I would say. I think we are getting closer. I mean, obviously it's not as close as everybody would want it. There's no question about that. But I'm an optimist, man. I live my life optimistically, and I'm hopeful that we can get something done. I think they were getting ready to walk into a meeting as I sit here now. So hopefully something good comes from today, and we can snowball that into something that looks pretty close to a deal.
Okay, good. Listen, this is not a labor pod, but I just want to ask one more question, because that's not the reason I wanted to have you on here. In fact, I did not know you were a player rep with the Reds. So
no worries.
I don't mean to bombard you with all this stuff, but while we're here, we might as well just dive in the waters.
No question. Why not?
We know that the owners have said, listen, if we don't have a deal by February 28th, which is the date that this pod is coming out, that you guys won't get full salary for the season. You guys could then turn around and say, fine, you want to play that game? Well, we won't do extended playoffs, which is in our right. And we won't have little patches on the uniform, which is your right. So you guys can both hold things over each other's head.
Yeah. And I think it's clear that both sides know that. And I think that's why we're stuck. I think we as players are holding the things that we have the most leverage in, and then the owners are doing the same thing. So I think for the game itself, I think it clearly makes the most sense to get a deal and not miss any games. And that's just my own personal opinion. And like I said, I'm really hopeful that we can get there and we can get opening day kicked off when it's supposed to. I think it would be terrible for the game if not, in my opinion.
Yeah, people have heard me. I don't need to go over my thing. So I want to get on to Tucker Barnhart in your world, which got shaken up a little bit in November.
Sure.
How'd you find out you were traded?
I was playing golf. I won in 17 when I won my first Gold Glove. I found out that I had won on the golf course. I found out that my wife was pregnant with our second son on a golf course, and I found out that I got traded on a golf course. So if there's anything like monumental in my life that I need to happen, or that is on the verge of happening, I'll probably be on a golf course.
So maybe I should send you out to the 8th hole so that the
there you
lockout
go.
can end.
Exactly. I think if there weren't snow on the ground, that's where I would be right now. There's no doubt about that.
All right. So what does this mean? You're on the golf course. It's not like the caddy master is going to come up or the drink cart person is going to say, "Hey,
Right.
Tucker, did you hear you got dealt?"
No, I was I'd gotten a text from my agent. I think that we were a couple days post World Series. I think they had 5 days, the Reds did, to decide whether or not they were going to pick up my option. I think it was, like I said, 3 or 4 days after the World Series, and I got a text from my agent, said, "Hey, the Tigers called me. They were asking if you were interested in playing in Detroit." And I mean, obviously I wasn't going to say no. And then I got a call from Nick Kroll, the GM for the Reds, and said, "Hey, we're just want to keep you updated. We're talking with a team about trading you." And clearly I had talked to my agent prior and knew that it made the most sense that it was the Tigers. And so he's like, "Hey, I'll keep you updated. I'll call you back this afternoon and let you know if anything happens." And sure enough, about an hour later, he called me and said that I'd been traded, that he thanked me for everything and with my time in Cincinnati and stuff like that. And that was that.
Just like that.
Just like that. And I talked to AJ Hinch. I talked to Al Avila. I talked to everybody. I talked to Chris Fetter. I talked to everybody in a very short period of time. And then as the days after that happened, kind of got familiarized with the front office and with third base coaches, first base coaches, catching coaches, everybody. And then the lockout happened, and I haven't heard from anybody since.
Okay, we'll get to that part momentarily. But, you are a lifelong Red. You were drafted by that team. That's the only thing you have ever known. I can't imagine that the rest of your round went great because your world just got turned upside down.
No, it was I was on, I think, 14, and I was right by the clubhouse, and I ended up leaving and going home and talking to my wife. And we were kind of, it was sad, man. Like you said, I grew up with the Reds. I'm 31. I got drafted when I was 18. So I spent quite a bit of my life as a Cincinnati Red player in the big leagues, and then obviously in the minor leagues as well. And I'd gotten to know so many people, Delino DeShields and Freddie Benavides, who were on our staff last year. Freddie was the infield coordinator when I got drafted, and I played for Delino in the minor leagues at virtually every level. He was my manager. And so those guys had seen me play pretty much as anybody in my life had. And saying goodbye to those guys was tough. I packed up my locker after we got back on our last trip, and it was hard to leave. Like, I was in tears walking out just because I just had the feeling. I had been in Cincinnati so long. Tyler Stevenson earned the right to play every day, and I feel like I've earned the right to play every day still as well. And the writing was on the wall, and it's nobody's fault. And I'm happy for the Reds. They have a great future in Tyler, and I'm excited for a new chapter in my life and my career, and it's going to be good for me and for my family.
But understanding it, listen, you're still going to make almost $8 million. You're going to be an everyday catcher with a young up and coming team, but that doesn't help you deal with the emotions of it. I imagine that there were probably some times where you had to share some conversations with your wife about how hurtful it was.
Yeah, I don't know if hurtful is necessarily the right word, because I'm very thankful for what the Reds and for what they did for me in my career, but it just bittersweet, I think, is a really good way to put it. I'm so excited. I'm so happy that I am in Detroit, and that I'm going to be on a good team, and that we are going to have a younger staff that hopefully I can influence them in any little way. But also, the Reds are all, like, to your point, it was everything I knew, and so many great people just at the stadium. My boys grew up. They're only 4 and 18 months, but that's all my oldest son knows is Cincinnati, and the fire that comes out of smokestacks when a guy strikes somebody out or whatever, firework Fridays and things like that. And there are obviously more memories that we'll make, but I just think that there's so many times that people don't see the personal side of things. We packed up a house that we rented for the last 5 years, and all the stuff that we've accumulated, baby toys and and baseball stuff and it just everything. It was bittersweet for sure. There's no doubt about that.
I know one thing you packed up out of the rental house, that sweet piece of art behind your head.
Yeah, you like that? Actually, Micah Johnson, former Dodger, former Chicago White Sox, he painted that for me.
That's awesome.
He did it. So it's a cool piece for sure. 5 feet by 5 feet.
Yeah, that's big, man.
It's huge.
He's had a nice little run with that. You ready for your spring fling, but your dingling ain't quite working? That's okay. I want you to head over to getroman.com/rose right now. You can speak to a U.S. licensed healthcare professional about erectile dysfunction. And by the way, you'll get $15 off your first month of treatment. Now, here's the deal. You're probably thinking, man, I got a problem. Am I the only one? You are not. Here's the numbers to back it. More than half the men ages 40 to 70 are dealing with some form of erectile dysfunction. And the nice thing is about Get Roman is that, once again, you speak to a U.S. licensed healthcare professional in the privacy of your own home. You don't have any doctor's visits. You don't have to go to the pharmacy. If medication is needed, they're going to send it right to your comforts of your own home. So you don't have to deal with the, okay, who needs the ED medicine? Anybody around here? No, none of that. Once again, gets taken care of over the phone, and the medication, if needed, gets sent right to your home. So once again, it is getroman.com/rose to speak to a U.S. licensed healthcare professional and get $15 off your first month of treatment. So listen, dude, get Roman ready. So you know what? You talked about that you'll hopefully have some sort of, bearing on the future of this young staff. I mean, there's a reason they traded for you, brother. You're a Gold Glove catcher for a reason.
Yeah.
And the future of this organization is going to be dependent on those three young monsters. It really is.
I agree. I'm excited. I'm excited to work with them, man. I really am. I think that I provide a unique perspective. In Cincinnati, I was on the heels of a team that was supposed to win, catching guys like Johnny Cueto, Mike Leake, Homer Bailey, Bronson. And then we transitioned, obviously, to a rebuild, and I'm catching Luis Castillo's first start in the big leagues. Raisel Iglesias, when he just came over from Cuba and was coming out of the pen, and they were toying around with him being a starter. Tyler Malley's debuts, just so many guys that I've seen kind of like both ends of the spectrum. And in the last couple of years, catching guys, Sonny Gray, a mature version of Luis Castillo, Trevor Bauer. I mean, guys that are horses in the big leagues. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. Like some of my best stories and things that I would consider some of my greatest accomplishments are watching the guys like Luis Castillo, like watch it click for them. It's like kind of seeing them understand that they can be dominant at the big league level, and they're not really doing anything but being themselves. And I think that being able to help a guy realize that and understand that, I grew up around a teacher, and my dad would always talk about that when he would come home from school, about teaching Jimmy a math problem and seeing it in his, like the look in his eyes, like when he finally gets it. And like, to me, that's rubbed off on me. And like, I love that stuff. Like, I mean, you obviously with my kids and watching my kids do it, but like just being a part of a small part in somebody's success at the big league level is really cool for me. So I'm really looking forward to it.
I love that. Since your dad was a teacher, were you a good student?
Probably not as good as I should have been. The baseball thing for me was always number one. So, but yeah, I got into Georgia Tech, so I was doing just fine.
Yes, you were. Yeah, you can't. They don't just give those scholarships away down
right.
there. You got to at least compete a little bit academically.
Exactly.
All right, I want to get back to the guys you've caught. You have to be part psychologist back there because you're dealing with such a wide range of personalities. Okay. Did you ever have to get in somebody's ass and be like, yo, bro, let's clean your shit up right now?
Yeah. I mean, it happens a lot. And I went through a unique, because that's how I like to be coached. I like to be coached that way. Somebody like, if I suck, tell me I suck, and it's going to help me out. Don't candy coat it. Don't sugarcoat it and try to prop me up. Like, that's not going to be how I'm going to respond like the best. And I tell this story, and I owe him a lot of credit for it because it changed my outlook on things. We were at Wrigley Field, I believe it was in 2015, and Michael Lorenzen had just had been up for a little bit, but I'd caught him in the minor leagues for a little while, and I knew Michael, and I went out there and I got into him just like that. I was like, hey man, like, what are we doing? Like, are you here? Like that kind of thing. Like, we need to lock it in. And he looked me dead in the face and said, whose team are you on? And at that moment, it pissed me off. And I was like, wait, I don't want him to ever question like whose team I'm on. Like, this is me trying to help. And that's when it clicked for me. Like, the psychologist piece of it was like, okay, guys need to be coached differently. And so I owe him a lot, because before I was always the guy that would just go out there and get in somebody's ass, instead of kind of understand the situation, understand who I'm talking to, and understand how they like to be coached. So in a long-winded way, Wade Miley was last year. He loved to get his ass chewed. And so I would go out and we would go at it on the mound, and he would respond well to it. And he told me,
give me for instance.
I needed it.
I want to know, like, are you swearing at each other? What happens?
Yeah. I mean, we're in a good one is we were in Cincinnati. He was grinding. He was out there just pissed off. Wade Miley isn't the guy you want on the mound. The guy that the no-hitter Wade Miley obviously is the guy you want, but the way he was that day is the Wade Miley you want. We had a 2-hour rain delay, and not to get off on too much of a tangent because I could talk about this night forever, but we had a 2-hour rain delay, and 45 minutes before he had to go, or before the game, he was arranging a high card game in the middle of the clubhouse, and he was laying on the floor, like counting out cards for everybody. But we were in Cincinnati, and he was scuffling. He was talking shit to himself on the mound. You could hear him, like, while I was behind the plate, I could hear him. And I go out there and I was like, dude, like, that pissed off Wade Miley sucks. Like, he is absolutely terrible. And you know that. And he's like, yeah, I'm out here trying, buddy. I'm out here trying. It's like, I know you're trying, but you're trying way too damn hard. And he's like, we ended up, like, I went back to the mound, or to the plate, and he was obviously still on the mound, and he was like laughing as I was like backpedaling back to the plate. And he ended up, I think, going 2 or 3 more innings and pitching into the 7th inning. But those things happen. Those situations, they happen for sure. But they are wide ranging. There's chewing somebody's ass. They're asking somebody where we're going to dinner after the game, or there's like, hey man, you're gonna be all right. Like, we're just fine. The kind of prop me up types. I got some beautiful no-hitter stories, man. We still had a taxi squad at the time, and Art Warren, who sounds like Barry Manilow, sounds like he should be singing in Vegas 45 times a year on stage. But he was on the taxi squad, and in Cleveland, obviously, you know this, you walk back to the hotel, and we had that long rain delay, and Art walked back to the hotel because he couldn't stay there for the game. He was in the bath. And so if you've seen Art Warren, he's like 6'4", 250, like, he's just humongous person. So how he was in the Marriott bathtub is another story all in itself. But he was following the game on his phone and ended up throwing clothes on and running from the Marriott to Progressive Field. And is it Progressive Field still?
It is.
Sure. And finally has to talk somebody in to letting him down in the clubhouse so he could celebrate with us. That was a good one. And then we went through this phase where the staff wasn't letting our starters go third time through the order, really virtually no matter how you were pitching. And it was just something that they thought made the most sense. And so Amir's in the bullpen. I'm telling this story through as an account from the way Sean Doolittle told it. So Doolittle is the best. And he's explaining this story. He's saying, hey, he's like, so Wade goes out for the 7th inning, and Amir looks at Doolittle and he goes, hell yeah, they're letting Wade go out, or they'll let Wade go out again. Like, and Sean he looked at him, he said, well, duh, of course. That was all he said. Gets 3 outs, goes back out for the 8th inning. He said, hell yeah, Wade's going back out for the 8th inning. I can't believe they're letting him go this long. And Doolittle's starting to think, like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? And 9th inning rolls around, gets 3 outs, and everybody's running in from the bullpen. And Amir's looking at do? And he goes, hell yeah, complete game shutout. And he goes, no, you idiot. He threw a fucking no-hitter. And he goes, oh, and he just took off running. It was so much fun, man. There's so many crazy stories. Wade was literally laying on the floor, dealing out cards, walking around with his hat, collecting $100 bills for high card, and goes out and throws a no-hitter. It was fun, for sure.
That's amazing stuff.
We will be right back to Tucker Barnhart, John Boy Media fan, Tucker Barnhart. He also catches on the Chris Rose rotation. Rob Scirocco, hot. Also hot, DraftKings Sportsbook. And we've got some UFC. Masvidal, whoa. That's one of the big ones. He's facing Covington. And guess what? If you bet $1 on the main event, you can get $100 in free bets no matter what. First round knockout, draw, double knockout. No matter the outcome, you get paid. Everyone can enter their free pool with $10,000 in prizes. So many things to bet on. How long will the fight last? All of that stuff. Why don't you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code ROSE. Throw down $1 on the UFC 272 main event and get $100 in free bets no matter the outcome. That's code ROSE this Saturday at DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the UFC. 21 plus, minimum age and location requirements vary by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for full list of requirements and state-specific responsible gaming resources. Void where prohibited. Minimum $5 deposit. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in Tennessee. Call or text the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. In Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Woo!
Who's the guy that likes being yelled at?
I would say Wade was a guy. Sonny's a guy too that liked to be yelled at. Amir was a guy that you could yell at. It kind of helped out. Those are the three that come to the top of my head.
By the way, that wasn't you behind the plate the day that Amir went to the Pirates dugout, was it?
No, I was hurt. That was Kyle Farmer.
Oh.
That was one hell of an evening. That's for sure.
Were you in the dugout that day?
I had to stay in the dugout. I was in the dugout, but there was a trainer assigned to me to not go out on the field. Like it wouldn't happen. So I inched my way out there. I ended up getting out there, but it's like you can get fined. You can, if you're not in uniform or whatever.
Yeah, right.
It was that whole deal.
Well, have you ever gotten into it from behind the dish with a hitter? Like the old Crash Davis, Bull Durham sort of stuff, like either, hey, don't show up my pitcher or get your ass moving or, all that sort of stuff. Does that happen?
No, I haven't been in any of those situations. The closest I'd been, I think somebody got hit and they thought it was on purpose and standing up to kind of protect the pitcher. It was just like, hey man, like, I'm not trying to hit you on purpose. You like, look at the scoreboard, like kind of think about it for a second, and nothing happened. But no, I hadn't been in any of those situations.
Have you ever hit a person on purpose?
I'm not confirm nor deny that I've hit somebody on purpose.
Your favorite umpire behind the dish?
Oh man, I loved working with Joe West.
Did you really?
I did, man. We just always kind of laughed and talked about country music, and I enjoyed it. Like I enjoyed it. He was cool to work with. Let's see. Scott Berry's.
By the way, AJ Pierzynski told me that Joe West could be an excellent umpire when he gave a shit.
There's no doubt about it. Joe West is a damn good umpire. A damn good umpire. He didn't miss much at all.
Okay.
Scott Berry's fun to work with. He's a football guy. He's a Lions fan for some reason. I'm kidding. But he's a Lions fan. I'm a Colts fan. And so we go back and forth about that. But let's see. Those are two guys that really, really jump out to me. Pat Hoberg's good. John Tumpane is good.
How far can you
get along with most of them?
How far can you go behind the plate? Is it as simple as that call sucked versus you suck?
Oh yeah, I got not Ed Hickox. Who threw me out in DC? I was behind the plate. This is a great story. I was second game of a doubleheader. I'm behind the plate in the second game. We played a long, hot day game, and Kurt Casale caught the first one. I caught the second game. Matt Adams hits a homer. I believe Matt Harvey was pitching in like the fifth inning to give him the lead. And by the time, like, it was clearly a no doubt home run. We had gotten squeezed on a couple pitches prior, and like Matt Adams hits the homer. The ball's probably halfway in the outfield, not even to the seats yet. And I looked up and I said, "That shit's on you." And I got the gate as soon as, like, before the ball even landed in the seats. And Casale was up in the clubhouse, and I'm walking down the stairs in my gear, and he's like, and I could see him so pissed off. And I was like, "Dude, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." And because he had to throw his gear back on and get behind the plate, obviously. I got him a bottle of Blue Label. I had it waiting for him after the game, and everything was fine after that. But he didn't want to see me, talk to me, nothing.
Dude,
for the
look at the
remainder
video.
of the day.
You took your mitt and you threw it off before you even got to the dugout.
I don't know. Not good. Not good.
Oh, that is great. Hey, are you into NFTs? If not, got an easy way for you to get in on the action. Did you know that Topps recently announced they're auctioning off a one-of-one Topps 1952 Mickey Mantle card NFT on OpenSea? It's going to happen March 1st at 1 p.m. Eastern. Now, if you don't know about OpenSea, it's an NFT auction platform where people can make bids to win highly prized NFT collectibles. And this is top-of-the-line stuff. I'm talking about a one-of-one. In fact, the front and the back are the actual card in the original 1952 release that was digitally scanned and pulled from Topps digital archives specifically to be used in this one-of-one NFT. Now, once again, the auction kicks off on March 1st at 1 p.m. Eastern. It's live for 3 days, ending at 1 p.m. on March 4th. Any bid placed in the last 10 minutes of the auction will be extended, at least extend the auction by an additional 10 minutes as well. So you got to keep that in mind and keep your eyes on this thing. Once again, it is a one-of-one, and you can have your hands on Mickey Mantle's legacy. So go out and do it. On top of that, if you're the winner of this auction, you get to spend time with Mickey Mantle's sons, Danny and David Mantle, a 30-minute video chat. You can find out all about Pops and how much he loved the sport and what he would think about his digital image being out there in the NFT collectible world. For more information on this historic release, visit topstimeless.com. I think I've had more Cincinnati Reds on this podcast than any other team because you guys have such big personalities. And we had Joey Votto last year. Do you remember the first time you met Joey Votto?
I don't. When I was a young guy in spring training, still in the minor leagues, I tried to stay as far away from Joey as possible just to not get in his way.
Were you scared of him?
Not scared of him, just knew that he was just whenever he was at the yard, it's all business for the most part. He's opened up in the most recent years. There's no question about it, but it was very much just kind of, I'm here to work. Don't get in my way. Don't talk to me really. Whether that was the way he would have treated me, I wasn't sure. But to this day, Joey's one of my good friends in baseball. And I truly feel like he would do anything for me. And I would do the same for him. But my first encounter with Joey, I don't remember. But I'm pretty sure he probably didn't know my name until about my third year in the big leagues.
He is the most interesting man in baseball.
I would be willing to bet, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
He's beautiful. There's no other way that I could put it. It's just, he's a joy to be around. Watching that guy work and talk, like finally breaking down the walls and talking to him and seeing how much he cares about what he's doing and his teammates. It's cool.
And what a renaissance he's had too.
Man, you ain't lying. It's last year was special. Watching that homer run he went on. I don't remember what month it was in, but I've seen Joey do some crazy things. There was a second half of the year. can't remember exactly what year it was, but if he didn't get on base twice a night, you would think like, oh, like what's wrong? Like what's going on? He hit like 400 in the second half. He was hitting like 210 in June and finished the year over 300. It was just something just wild. But that homer run he went on last year was special.
So you moved from Joey Votto to Miguel Cabrera now.
Pretty lucky.
Yeah.
One Hall of Famer to another, in my opinion.
You've had to game plan against him for years.
Yep.
I mean, you guys aren't in the same division. You aren't even in the same league, but I know you played against him last year, for instance. When he was going good, did you get a chance to try and game plan against him?
Let's see, not the year he won the Triple Crown. I watched, he to this day has hit one of the most impressive right-handed home runs I've ever seen. It was off Johnny Cueto. I wasn't behind the plate, but I was in the dugout. It was raining in Cincinnati, and he hit it to right field, and it looked like a left-handed pulled home run, just as far as it went, and like the trajectory of the ball. But there for a while, if you didn't get the ball in on him, he was going to kill you. I mean, it was just that simple. You had to like get the ball into him, and if you missed it all, you probably were going to be reaching for another ball for the umpire. It was just I'm really excited to just go from Joey to Miguel and watch him work and pick his brain, hopefully, and hopefully he can make me a little bit better.
Give me the top 3 guys that are most difficult in baseball to pitch to.
I'm gonna reference them when they're all going good. Yelich, Christian Yelich he hit, I think it was, I don't remember the year. It was the year he won the MVP, but he hit for the cycle against the Reds twice.
Twice, yes.
In the same year. A lot of guys don't do it twice in their careers, but he did it twice against us in the same year. So Yelich is way up there on the list. Let's see. It's hard for me to ever get Paul Goldschmidt out. It doesn't matter going good, going bad. He always seems to trick me into something. And we used to always get him hot, it felt like. So Paul's way up there on the list. Mike Trout is, I mean, the guys in the American League, I haven't seen as much. I haven't had as much history with. So Mike's obviously up there. Yelich, Goldschmidt for sure. There's somebody that, Chris Bryant. Chris Bryant is, we seem to always get him hot too. That's sure. And so the top 3 I'll say from the National League would be the guys that I would say would be Yelly, Chris Bryant, and then Paul Goldschmidt.
Okay, good. So you are in Indianapolis. You are in the heart of basketball country. In fact, one of your buddies from high school has made it to the NBA, and he is a Charlotte Hornet. And that, of course, would be Gordon Hayward.
Yep.
How bad a boy was he back in the day?
He was, it's ironic. He was actually a better tennis player than a basketball player for a long time. I believe, if I remember correctly, he's a grade older than I am. I think he didn't make the JV team as a freshman. I think he wasn't on the varsity team until he was a sophomore. But his junior and senior year were just ridiculous. He played with another guy named Julian Mavunga, who I believe is over in he's either in Spain or China, I think, playing basketball right now professionally. So we had both of those guys. And it was just, I mean, if you didn't beat a team by 10 to 15 or 20 points a night, somebody had a bad game basically. But it was special to watch. It's
hilarious because you look at the Gordon Hayward that you grew up with, where he's got like the matted down hair, and you're like, where'd this guy come from? Are we sure that he's any good? And he's killing it in college. And now you look at him, and you're like, who's the supermodel?
Right. He looks like a different person. He looks like a completely different dude. Finally got a good haircut. Even the Butler days, he had a rough one. But now he's a big dude. It looks like a complete. It's hard to recognize him, to be honest with you. If I didn't know who he was, it would be. And I saw pictures of him back then till now, I'd be like, there's no way that's the same person.
So is your high school like a sports factory? Because it's, baseball wise, it's you, it's Drew Storen, Lance Lynn, right? Went to the same
Yep.
place. What's going on there?
We went on a run, man. We had like, I want to say not all the way up to a decade, but we had a pretty good 6, 7, 8 year run. We had a guy named he actually was from Michigan, but he spent all of his high school years at Brownsburg High School, named Chris Jones. He won a Super Bowl with the Patriots. He's a defensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, we had Gordon. We had a guy named Julian. Numerous or a couple other female girls basketball players that went on to play in college. Multiple soccer players. We went on a little bit of a run there and not saying that they don't still, but it was a crazy run, man. There was something in the water there for quite a while.
And then who'd you get your first major league hit off of?
Dylan G.
Oh, I thought Dylan it was Lance
G
Lynn.
Well, my debut, I faced Lance, and I'd talked to him. This was probably a year after. He's like, dude, you remember your debut? And I said, yeah. And he said, what were you doing? He's like, do you not remember what I was doing? And I looked at him like, no, I thought you were trying to get me out. He's like, I was trying to throw you fastballs right down the middle. I wanted you to get a hit off of me. And obviously I did not get it at the time. But yeah, Lance is a good dude. I'll never forget. He came into Cincinnati, and he was having like a midlife baseball crisis. Lance absolutely raked in high school. Hit some of the longest home exactly. You would never know now, but he raked. He would have hit some of the longest home runs I've ever seen. And he was still in St. Louis, came into Cincinnati, and he was now a switch hitter. Like he had switch hitter like on the roster, the printed roster. And I asked him before the game during BP, I was like, switch hitter, because he had never hit left-handed and like growing up at all. But yeah, switch hitter, and he sure enough came up that like the next night hitting left-handed. He said, I can't hit right-handed, so I might as well try to hit left-handed. It was something to watch, that's for sure.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that he went through kind of a midlife baseball crisis. He's one of those guys that's like CC Sabathia. They came up and they were big dudes, and then they lost all the weight, and then you were like, no, you're not good thin. Like, go back and stuff your face full of like ho-hos and cupcakes, and I'll see you in 6 months.
No doubt about it. Bearded White Sox Lance Lynn is right where Lance Lynn needs to be. Yeah. He doesn't need to be clean shaven, thin Lance in the Bronx. He needs to be big bearded Lance from the South Side of Chicago. That's
so him. You mentioned earlier you're a Colts fan. Is that like your live and die team?
I would say so. That's pretty accurate for sure.
So we getting Carson Wentz out of there or what?
It sounds like it. It definitely sounds like it.
Don't give me it sounds like it. You're Chris Ballard. What are you doing?
I got to move on. I got to move on unless it's a lateral move. And if it's a lateral move, then it doesn't make any sense. But so hopefully what I'm hoping for is that we can get Pat McAfee to swindle Aaron Rodgers down this way and make her run that direction. I don't know how logical or realistic that is, but that's the dream.
You're on the wrong streaming service. You shouldn't be spending your time with Chris Rose. You should be spending your time with Pat McAfee trying to figure out how to get Rodgers down there.
No. I'm in the right spot.
Try and get on there with Tuesdays with Aaron Rodgers. So do you go to Colts games? I mean, are you that big a fan?
We go, I would say my wife and I, we probably head down to 2 a year. Okay. So yeah, I mean, we definitely make an effort to get down there to a game. I mean, you can't beat the TV experience at home, in my opinion.
I'm with you.
But we try to get down there, I would say once or twice a winter.
Did you watch the in-season Hard Knocks with them?
I did. I really enjoyed it. I was trying to put myself in that position from from a baseball standpoint. I thought they did a hell of a job covering.
Great.
I thought it was really cool. It was really cool to kind of dive into the behind the scenes, because I think it opens up a personal element in a positive way for fans. I really do. I think shows you that we're not all robots. All athletes aren't robots, and that there's a personal element to it, and it's definitely. I thought they did a hell of a job.
In fact, I think that's the way to go for the future. Like, I think it's kind of, I'm not going to say it's gotten stale with the training camp one, but it's, when you're in season and you get that sort of access and there's the swings and, guys are coming back from injury, guys are leaving, you're losing games you think you should win, you're winning games you think, maybe you were going to lose. Like, it was quite an emotional
I agree.
ride.
I agree completely. I think you only get so much out of the training camp, the spring training, if they were to do something like
Right.
that. I mean, it's in a way, it's a glorified vacation, to be honest. But during the season, when it's all on the line, I hope that they stay along and they keep that for sure.
Could we do that in baseball?
I think you could do a version of it. I think it would get kind of stale just because we do play every single day, and there's weeks that you go that nothing really changes. So I think it would be, you have to kind of do it. You'd have to film a bunch of it, I think, and then release it. I don't know that you could. I think you could film it during the season. I don't know if you could release it during the season, because I don't think you would have enough to do a week by week thing. I think it would become kind of stale, but I think it would be fun to do for sure.
I know they did. I forget if it was Showtime or somebody did it with the San Francisco Giants a year, maybe like 2011, like after they won their first one, or it was one of those. They kind of followed them around a little bit. So
I think it'd be fun.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that stuff. If we had followed you around, would you? It's interesting because I've got my youngest son plays high school baseball, and all the parents, they always freak out when the beginning of the year their kid's not hitting the ball, right? And I was like, you have to understand, the best in the world, they go like 2 for 26 on a road trip, and they're sitting somewhere in frickin' Milwaukee at 3 a.m, looking at themselves in a full-length mirror using a pizza box as home plate, trying to figure out what the hell's wrong with their swing. Am I on base
no
here?
doubt,
right?
100%. I've taken bats back to hotels. I've taken gloves back to hotels. I've seen teammates do the same thing. I mean, you are completely on track with every word you just said. I mean, it happens almost, I would say, somebody does something along those lines once a series. It doesn't matter where it is. I mean, it could be the first series of the year or the last. Everybody, I would say, to a point, kind of has their own version of panic and 3 a.m. sweats in the mirror where you're thinking, am I ever going to hit a ball that finds grass again that doesn't get caught? I mean, that's absolutely accurate.
So if we do have some young people that listen to this podcast, in which case I apologize for the language I use sometimes, but for young people that are listening, and they're like, yeah, I want to be a major leaguer, but if they just want to enjoy baseball, what words of advice do you have for them right now?
I think it's rather cliche, but I think it makes the most sense. Is you can't take it too seriously. I really do. I think that if you lose the fact that this is a game, I think that you're trending in a like a pessimistic or a negative way. I think that even at the highest level, the best players in the world all struggle. They're all taking bats back to hotels and trying to figure things out and trying. And I think there's a fine line between taking it seriously and taking it too seriously. And I flirt with that line, I would say, daily. I think that's one of my best attributes, but my worst as well. Is just the way I play. I play emotionally. I'm an emotional dude, and it is what it is. It's never going to get out of me as a person or as a player. But I think when I'm going my best, or when my teammates are going their best, everybody's having fun. Everybody's enjoying it because it is a game, and we played the same game on a little bit smaller scale when we were 3, 4, 5 years old. And it is cliche, but it's the truth, in my opinion. You got to enjoy it. And you got to realize that you are playing a game, and you're not at a normal job, really, to be honest.
It's good stuff. I like it. How do you not bring stuff home? Like, do you have to talk yourself down a little bit sometimes? Have you had times where you walk through the door and you're still like last year didn't go great for you guys? I thought you guys were going to be way better and you weren't.
No
So I
doubt.
imagine there were days you walked home pissed off.
Yes, all of that. Yes. I have to, I generally like to live like in the cities that I play in, or well, obviously Cincinnati. I made a point to stay 25-ish minutes away from the ballpark. So when I am driving home, I kind of get all of it out on the drive home, whether it's roll the windows down in the summer and listen to music and kind of take my mind off of it, or if it's call my pops and talk to him, or call whoever and talk to them, or whatever. Just even the best of days too, like trying not to get being able to kind of come down from those and be able to go to sleep and get up and do the same thing the next day, you know? So I make a point to stay 20-ish minutes away from the park so I can clear my head that way. My kids, man, my boys and my wife, they've all helped me out so much. I'm a red ass, and like I said, I always will be. But knowing that as soon as I walk through the door, if my kids are still up, that they don't care if dad went 4 for 4 with a homer or 0 for 4 with 4 punch outs, it doesn't matter. That's helped me out so much. And not bringing things home. And my wife's a saint, man. She's awesome. She was an athlete. She was a cheerleader in college. And so she gets the grind of what it's like to be an athlete. And so she does a good job of just kind of leaving baseball at the field. And if I want to talk about it, great, but she really never brings it up, which is cool too.
Where'd she cheer?
She cheered Ole Miss. Yeah, she's an SEC girl.
Hotty toddy.
Yep.
All right.
SEC girl.
Yeah. Did you ever go see her cheer? Were you guys together when she
No, we didn't cross paths until she had moved. So she relocated when she was really little to Alabama for her dad's job. Went to Ole Miss and then moved back to Indianapolis to finish her last year of college, and we met then. So we haven't made it down to Oxford. We will eventually, but we'll get back down there. But we haven't been yet.
No, I've heard
nothing but great things.
No, I've heard it's pretty good. Got a few more things here. I want to play a quick little game with you. It's
Okay.
called Two Truths and a Lie.
Okay.
So two of the things are accurate about your career, and one is a lie.
Got it.
Here we go. You have faced Kyle Hendricks more than any other pitcher in the show. You have never hit a triple on the road, or you bat over 400 when you bunt. Two of those are true, and one's a lie. Find the lie.
I don't think I've ever hit a triple on the road.
Wait, you think that's false, or you think that's?
I think that's a lie. I think that I faced Kyle Hendricks more than anybody, and I think when I bunt, I bat over 400. I think those are true. I've never hit a triple on the road, which is crazy because Cincinnati is a small park.
Yeah, well, you have hit a triple on the road. Do you know where it is?
Have. No, I don't.
You ready to see it? Here we go. It's at the Trop, dude.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
Oh man,
is it off of Tommy Hunter?
Somebody made a bad dive in center. And I'm not trying to take away your glory.
That's the only. Oh, you're not. That's the only way I would ever get a triple.
Standing.
Either that or Colorado.
Standing triple. There you go. Feel good. Look at that, chewing on your mouth guard like Steph Curry.
Yes, sir.
Looked like your thumb guard. Okay, that was nice. Oh, Peter Borges. I remember him. He could really run, but that was about it. All right, good. We got you your triple. I think you're one of the first ones to actually hit that on the Two Truths and a Lie.
Beautiful.
Nice work on that.
Thank you.
I did a little investigation. Somebody said you throw the best 4th of July parties.
We had an absolute blowout July 4th party in Cincinnati a few years ago. Yeah, it was exceptional.
Who was the one that embarrassed themselves the most?
Man, I think it was a pretty clean. I don't have anybody that embarrassed themselves. I really don't. Maybe I would say Scooter Jeanette for bringing all of the illegal fireworks, but that's about it.
Okay. Who seemed to be having the best time though?
Kyle Farmer had an incredible time.
Okay.
Kyle Farmer had an incredible. Derek Dietrich had a good time.
Oh, of course, Dietrich. Good Cleveland guy right there.
He's a beauty. I had a great time.
That away. Those are important team bonding moments.
No question. We had almost everybody there. It was great.
Let's bring that to Detroit. All right, we're going to spin the wheel of moderately interesting things before we let you get back to being daddy and hanging out in Indianapolis, where I'll be for the scouting combine next week, by the way. Here we go.
I'll have to come by and see it.
Nice. Stevie's wondering, trying to find out if you are very superstitious. What is your big-time baseball superstition?
I'm not the most superstitious guy in the world. I will say that. I will admit that. I got some advice from Jordan Pacheco when I was in AAA. It said the hits are in the socks. So if you go over, I would get a new pair of socks. And I did that until Rick Stowe, our clubhouse guy, said, you need another pair of socks. So I was on like an 0 for 20. I was on 0 for 20, and it was on my like 6th pair of socks in the week. And he's like, hey, dude, like, give it a rest. It's not it in the socks, brother. It's not the socks. So that's like my one that if I can do, I might take that to Detroit for a few minutes. But if they give me hell about it, then I'll have to get rid of it again.
That's funny. Yeah, dude, it is not in the socks. See that batting cage over there? Go spend a few days there.
Exactly.
And if it's still not working, come back and see it. The socks will be on me.
No doubt. Go take that tee home. You can have that one. Go take it home.
That's some funny shit. Listen, it was great getting to know you a little bit better. I wish you luck in Detroit, except for 19 times a year against the Cleveland Guardians. Don't take it personally. Just
no worries. Will not.
Just my rooting interest. And hopefully we can catch up during the season, because this was a good combo.
I hope so, man. I would love to.
Good. Well, send my best to your family and then your new baseball family down there, in Florida when you get to see them, the Detroit Tigers. And we look forward to seeing you in a new uni in 2022.
I will do the same. Thanks, guys, for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Special shout out to the one and only producer extraordinaire, Robbie Scirocco. I am Chris Rose. Thanks so much for tuning in again to the Chris Rose Rotation, a production of John Boy Media and presented to you by our friends at SeatGeek.